Yeah?
Oh, yeah, that's
All
the
right,
goal.
let's go. All right, let's call Kailia right now and see what's going on.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey.
how's it going?
You cut out for a second. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. No, I was just saying, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Did I take too
Good.
long, or?
I mean, yeah, like, dude, time management, okay? Time management.
Yeah, Kaylia's been talking to me today about my horrible time management, which I don't think is that horrible, but she has her own opinion and her own perspective on it. And we're
We
kind
first
of...
started talking about this at 2, okay? 2. It is now
What time
almost
is it?
9 o'clock, and we're just starting the podcast. Then we talked, like, 45 minutes ago, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to call you back in a few minutes. Okay, so time management.
No, but
Time
I don't think
management.
that's time management. It's just like there's a lot going on in the day, you know. There's a lot to get done. You had to cook dinner. I went to visit my grandma. I had to walk the puppy. I have a child now, you know. And
Yeah.
my child comes first. Well, not really, but everything I do comes first. But it's hard to be so precise with time nowadays. What are your thoughts on time in general? Like, do you think time is a real thing, or what are your thoughts on
I
time?
mean, I think that if, you have people waiting, then yeah, time's a really real thing. In general, of course, time is a construct, right? Like,
Yeah.
they use time to sort of put us into this, I guess, box or this cycle or system where we're just waking up, going to work, going to school, doing all those things, and nighttime comes, we have to go to sleep. So, like, obviously, it's used to control us, but also... It also makes sure that, we're working together. Like right now, I was waiting 45 minutes for you to call me, and I was sitting here like, okay, what's happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It works both ways, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like for me, I move. It's not that I don't respect other people's time, and I do expect people to respect mine, but I don't know. I just feel like there are some things that you just can't control, and I do feel like time is one of those things. And I think us as people, we spend so much time trying to control time, especially when it comes to showing up on time. And, of course, for work, they have you on the structure. You got to be at work at 8 a.m. or 7, whatever your time you start, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But no one
Yeah.
talks about, how, you leaving on time. Or like if you stay back and spend extra hours, no one talks about that or complains about that. But if you're just 5 minutes late from your start time, it's like the whole world ends.
Yeah, well, that goes back to time being used to control us, right? Time is literally used to make sure that we're sheep that are kind of like moving with the herd and getting through our day. That's what time is used for, unfortunately. That's kind of the nature of the world that we live in.
Yes, and it sucks. So if you feel like I didn't respect your time today, I'm gonna apologize. But yes, we did have a conversation earlier today in the daytime when I was on the road, and I called you and I said, you know what? Why don't you? I had texted you. I think it was yesterday or the day before about possibly coming on the Who and How Club just to have a conversation, and
I wanted to do it in person.
Yes.
After coronavirus passed, but Harris is a little bit more stubborn, so he insisted that we do it over the phone, which is cool.
Yes, I figured our episode, we're gonna get into who you are as a person, how you and I know each other, and get into all of that jazz. But knowing you, I mean, you always call me stubborn, but I feel like knowing you and knowing how our conversations tend to go, your episode could definitely be like a part 2, part 3. We could always split it up into different pieces because I know our conversations are gonna go pretty deep, and we might argue a little bit or debate on some things. So I'm excited to talk to you.
Okay. I'm here for it. Let's do it.
I do appreciate you coming on the show, though. So thank you for that. I want to say that and start off with that.
No problem. Definitely pushing my comfort zones, but that's what I said I was doing in 2020. Like I was pushing all my comfort zones, so
yes.
I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so first off, I wanna, for those who are just tuning in and they don't, you're a brand new person to the club, to the show in general. So I wanted to maybe, let the people know who you are. Yeah, just who you are. Aside from your name being Kailia, who is Kailia? Who would you say Kailia is if you were to tell someone who's just tuning in?
I don't know. Like, I really hate that question, to be honest. The "who are you" question, because I feel like it tries to force us to put ourselves into, again, these boxes that make it easier for people to figure us out and understand us. I also feel like, if you walk by me in the mall or if you talk to me for 10 minutes, you've already decided, who you think I am. So why do I need to necessarily define myself to someone or tell myself, or tell someone who I am, right?
Yeah.
So right now I feel like in general, I'm just sort of focused on understanding myself. I feel like people in general, and especially me, I haven't taken time to just get to know who I am, to like comb through all the nitty gritty of myself and just kind of figure out like who I am at my core, what makes me happy, what makes me sad, all that shit. I can swear, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can say anything you want on this show.
Okay, because I definitely have a funny mouth. But yeah, all that shit that, we try to hide from people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to jump into that so that I can really understand myself and understand what makes me tick. Because if we don't understand ourselves, in 20 years, when you ask who I am, I'm going to say, oh, I'm still figuring that out. We're always just figuring that out. So I don't love that question because I don't want to be put into a box, and I feel like I spent so much of my life trying to fight against stereotypes and people trying to define
labels
me, that I got lost boxes, in that, trying to prove who I'm not.
Yeah.
But if I really did have to say something about myself, I would say that at my core, I'm just a creative. I'm an artist. I love all things art, every medium, from music to fashion to writing. I actually went to school for writing because I just love the way people are able to express themselves through art. All that bullshit that we carry with us, we can sort of let go and release using art. So I'd say that's the most consistent thing in my life has been art and my love of art.
And creating.
And, I think that's the way I would define myself if I really had to. It's just art,
Yes. Do you feel like, I mean, you kind of mentioned it, but knowing who you are for yourself is definitely something that's important. Would you agree with that? Or?
Of course, yeah, because I feel like we don't spend enough time getting to know ourselves. We spend most of our time filtering ourselves and trying to make sure people don't know the truth about us rather than getting to know our own truth, if that makes sense,
Yes, knowing oneself before even sharing a piece of that. How do you know the piece of yourself that you're sharing is actually who you are if you haven't taken the time to actually get to know if that's a piece of who you are?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Do you feel and just sticking on that topic, do you feel like we'll ever be able to figure out who we are? Is it a group thing or is it an individual thing when it comes to knowing oneself? Are we put here to figure out who we are as, people? Or do you feel it's each person's journey to be on that vibe?
I think it's each person's journey because, some people look at life as, they have one ultimate end goal. They want to be a doctor, and they work their whole life to be a doctor. That's their goal. And then you have some people that look at life as a bunch of little moments, and that's how they define their life. So I really think it's an individual thing, and everybody has, the right to go about it the way they want to, even though most of us don't. Most of us, we choose the type of life we think we should have, and that's what we go with. But I think if we want to, we have the right to explore life however we feel and set whatever goal and expectations for ourselves that we want to.
Yes. You're so smart. I like the way your brain works, and I agree with you. But we don't, like I mentioned earlier, you and I, actually no, I don't think I mentioned this, but you and I in conversation, we always point out, you love to point out that you and I hardly agree on things. So
Yeah.
during this episode and this conversation, I'm going to try to find things very specifically on things that we do agree on, so that in the in future sense, whenever you bring up the fact that we don't agree on things, I'm going to bring these things up that we've agreed upon. So this is number one. I agree with everything you're saying so far, and I don't know. I just feel. Sorry, go.
I don't necessarily think it's that we don't agree on things. I think it's that I feel like maybe I don't have a preconceived notion of how things and people should be and act, and I feel like you kind of do.
Well, you know what you know, right?
Exactly, and that's the thing. I feel like I know that I don't really know anything,
Yeah.
and that I try to give people the space to be whoever they want to be,
Yes,
and not
yes,
push my own agenda on them. Not saying that you do, but I think that you have to let people kind of just like be who they are and not push your own or project your own stuff on them, your own expectations on them. And I think that's kind of where we differ.
Where we clash, yeah. But can I be honest with you?
Okay.
In my lifetime so far, 30 years being on this planet, there are very few walking individuals that have okay, for an example, like the Who and How Club, right? I created it and came up with this idea because I am looking for something. I'm looking for people who are, I guess, separate from the herd. Separate from the majority. I feel like the majority, this whole majority rules concept, for an example, it's just followers, right? Like people, the majority, most of those people are the same. Some of them are robots, some of them think alike. You know, everyone's like group think. And everyone's in their comfort zone when they know that they belong to this specific group that, you know, even if they don't even think that way, that this particular group thinks, they're more comfortable being a part of that because they don't want to feel alone or separate. But I created the Who and How Club to look for individuals that aren't afraid to step out of that comfort zone, step outside of that box, think outside of the box, and be themselves, their true selves. And there are very few people, and you're included in this, that have either surprised me or I could really look at it and be like, you know what, that individual is truly an individual and very unique in their own way. I don't think everyone is unique in their own way. I do feel like there are groups of people that exist in order for groups of people like us to exist. Because how would we know how to exist if we saw something and didn't know how to not be? If you get what I'm trying to say. Like if I see a person in front of me my entire life who's a liar, and I don't ever want to be a liar, I need to know what a liar looks like so I know that that's not who I am or want to be. I need that example to mirror off of, you know what I mean? Or to bounce off of and to shape myself into something opposite of that. So I feel like that whole preconceived thing is just that I've seen a lot of the same types of people in my life. So it's easier to judge off the bat. Not to say I don't give people an opportunity to prove themselves or, you know, to prove me wrong even, but I'm rarely surprised. You surprise me. Our connection surprises me. The fact that you and I could be on this phone call right now surprises me. Because our history, which we'll get into in a little bit, it's a bit unique.
Yeah.
And I cherish the unique things and the unique people that I come across in my life. The herd, I don't really, you know.
I mean, I feel that, right? But I mean, I didn't make and this is, I think, where it goes back to when I was talking about I always used to fight the system, I guess.
Yes.
And like go against anyone who I felt was trying to put me into a box. Yes. I didn't make the decision to go against the herd. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I didn't say, oh, I hate all the shit that these people are doing. I'm going to do something different. I'm just out here existing, right?
You didn't consciously do it. You just, you're existing, like you're saying.
Exactly.
This is who you are.
I am the way I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I may not agree with what other people do, and I may not want to make those same life choices, but I also don't give a shit about the choices you want to make as long as you're not hurting anyone else, yourself necessarily, or others. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're doing your thing, then I don't care what you want to do, and I don't judge what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if you want to have maybe for me, I don't want to have a bunch of kids or whatever, but there's tons of people out there who want to have a bunch of kids. Have your kids. That's not for me, but I love that for you if that's what you want. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I feel like for me, being who I am, it's just who I've always been.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I released the idea that I had to be this different person that I was actually able to just be who I am, who happens to be this person that you're saying you feel is unique. I don't feel that I'm unique. I feel that I'm just myself. And as I get older or as I go through more shit in my life, I just become more fucking unapologetic about it, and that's it.
I like that, because what if who we are is really, what if that's the answer to who we are? Like, just being is the answer to who we are. Because there are people out there that are being the opposite of who they are. They spend their entire lives being the opposite, right? So maybe the people who are just being themselves and living and existing, like you said, this is just who you are. You're not consciously going against something just to prove a point or anything like that. You're just, this is who you are. Maybe that's the answer. I have a problem with the people who are spending their entire lives being something they're not because someone told them to be something, because they're not even comfortable with who they are. You know, the insecurities, which we all have, of course, but to the point that you're changing who you actually are just to please somebody or to please the herd that you want to be so much a part of. I could never feed into that, and I don't like to play the game. Like, when a person's in front of me, I'm reading. It's like a book. It's like codes from the Matrix. Like I recognize this code. You are a code, for an example, that I can never decipher. And I don't think I've ever tried to. And if I did, I gave up very early because, you know, it's just like, I don't think that's our story. I think I'm going to say I think you're unique because I haven't met a person like you before. So that's where that uniqueness comes in.
I mean, I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that. I think that when we first met, we were like, I don't know, 18, 19.
Well, we were kids.
I think I think that why we used to definitely like butt heads about a lot of things. I feel like now we still would if we hadn't, I don't know, maybe changed the way we approach each other and other people around us. I feel like back in the day, you were maybe one of those people that I felt always wanted me to be a certain way that I wasn't. And I feel like you were often like angry with me and stuff because I wasn't the way you wanted me to be. And I feel like that's why we really butt heads back in the day. And also, going back to your point about, people who just move with the herd, and people who, I guess, go against the grain or whatever. I think that either way you look at it, it takes work. Like, it takes work to wake up every day, or not even work. It takes something from you. Either way you look at it, it takes something from you to every day get up and go to that 9-to-5 job that you hate and put on this happy face. Like that takes work. That takes dedication. Like, as much as it seems like, oh, you're just being a sheep, whatever. That still takes work because it's taking away from who you really are. Just the way me living exactly as I want to be and just being very open about who I am, that also takes work because it would be easier for me to just, wear something that everyone else is wearing. It would be easier for me to not, go somewhere and have people like stare at me because I'm doing this or wearing that or being different or whatever. You know what I mean? Either way you approach life, it takes work. Even if, you're sitting there saying, oh, I don't like the way that person approaches life, it's mundane, it's boring, it still takes work. And I think that we can't take that away from people. Like, life is like fucked up any way you approach it. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, I like to approach, I've been working on it because, again, it took me time to get here. I've been working on approaching life from my truth because if I approach it from a place of I guess, like, putting blocks up and putting my walls up, that still takes work. So why not just approach it with my truth, which also takes work? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm putting in the work anyway, why not put in the work to achieve whatever I want to fucking achieve? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I'm with you. I think another group of people that I kind of have an issue with is like, okay, let's say there are people out there who, and we're going to get back to some of the things you just mentioned, but let's say there are people out there who really want to live their truth, right? But they're
Mm-hmm.
not doing anything about it in order to do that. So, like the complainers, for an example,
Mm-hmm.
like they're at a place where they don't want to be at, whether it's in a relationship, at a place of employment, whatever, they just, all they do is complain, but they do nothing about it. And I feel,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever been one of those people, would you say? Was
Of
there
course,
ever a
that
time that,
like
yeah, that
that's
like
still me
you were in a
sometimes.
place, that you were in a place and like you were, yeah, go with
No,
what
of
you're saying.
course, like that's still me sometimes. There's still shit that I'm looking right at, and I'm like, yo, if I just fucking got up off the couch, I could grab that remote control, and my life would, you know what I mean? There's
Yes.
still things that I'm looking right at that are completely attainable, but I sit back and complain instead of going for them. Just because, I'm an individual or I'm unique, that doesn't mean that I always go for all the shit that I want. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I'm still dealing with shit like that. I'm still not chasing my dreams. I'm still, just because you have one aspect of your life figured out doesn't mean the rest just falls into place. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I feel like it's hard. It's really like for me, even to get to where I am at this very moment, it was tough. Like it took a lot of loss, a lot of like death in my family. It took a lot of shit for me to get to the place that I am at today. Like being the person I am today didn't come without sacrifice. You know what I mean? So right now I'm just working on just the momentum, basically. I'm taking this momentum and all the shit that I've kind of worked my way through, and I'm running with it. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself because I know where I'm coming from, but I'm just running with this fuel that I suddenly have. You know what I mean? It didn't just come overnight. It was fucking hard. Like October of last year, I was in a horrible place. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
then something shifted in me, and sometimes not everybody gets that aha moment or that shift. Not everybody hits rock bottom before they can come back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's at different places. And I think that's just the truth of the matter. You know what I mean? We put so much pressure on ourselves and each other to always be doing, always be doing, always be doing,
Yeah.
always be doing. But like even the situation we're in right now with coronavirus has shown us that we don't always have to be doing.
Yes.
That like mental health can come first, that it's okay to take a beat, that you're not a bum because you missed the mark one or two times.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I feel like this state that we're in with the virus and everything, I think it's going to change things. I don't know if you agree on this, but I feel like it's going to change things systemically. I just feel like a lot of things are about to shift, and it's because of this thing. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm not as worried as some other folks are. I mean, I am, taking those extra precautions, right? And I'm still at work, in the
Mm-hmm.
field that I'm in. I can't really, we're not shutting down. I'm in the social services field. So, we're here to serve the people and the homeless people in the city of Toronto. So we're not going to be shutting down anytime soon. In fact, we're going to be a part of that, transition and stuff like that. But even with that said, and not having much of a fear, it kind of stems from just having this feeling in my heart that things are about to shift, and people getting this downtime to focus on themselves. I think it's well needed. It just sucks that some people are off of work and might not be able to, afford some things or to pay their bills. Like there are many pros and cons to this entire situation.
Yeah, and like all the people that are dying is a huge con. Also.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think we just got to know. Something came out today that we had our third death in Ontario, or I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember if it was Toronto or Ontario. I think it was Ontario though. We had our third
Mm-hmm.
death. So it's scary. It's very scary. Like when I'm on the road and I see no one, like it's like a ghost town everywhere I'm driving. Like where are the people? You know what I mean? It's like things you and I were talking earlier about, like this. It feels like everything we've ever seen in a film is it's now real life. Like we're seeing people
Yeah.
with the masks and this quarantine and all of that jazz. Like how are you spending your quarantine? If you don't mind me asking.
Honestly, I have. It's weird. This quarantine thing has been really weird for me because I started 2019 with like this. Okay, I'm gonna do all the
2020
things.
or
I'm gonna.
2019?
Pardon?
2020 or 2019?
2020, I meant. Did I say 2019?
You said
I meant 2020. I started 2020 with this idea, like, I'm going to do all the things, I'm going to meet all the people, I'm going to network, I'm going to go everything somebody invites me to, I'm going to fucking go. Like, I just hit the ground running like that. I was, like, going to all these events, doing all these things, like, networking, meeting all these people. And then coronavirus was like, nah, girl, we're just going to end all that for you. You know what I mean? And it kind of pushed me back into a place where I was in 2019, where I was, like, really depressed. I was really sad. I was going through a lot of things. However, this time, I'm not in that same place where I'm, like, depressed and sad. So I'm still keeping up that momentum. I'm still, I'm waking up every morning and I'm, like, working out. I'm doing some bootleg hot yoga in front of my heater. Yeah. I'm cooking. I'm playing video games. I'm dancing around my house. I'm performing for all my throw cushions. Yeah. I'm just, like, living my best life, like, under quarantine. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think that, ironically, the fact that, like, I spend so much time in isolation going through my bullshit for, a couple of years, I want to say, like, while my dad was sick and through all of his illness, it's kind of prepared me to, like, be chilling at home, to be okay with that and to be okay with being by myself. I think a lot of people are having a hard time with quarantine because a lot of us aren't okay being by ourselves. We're not okay looking ourselves in the mirror, you know what I mean? And and just, like, being with ourselves, because, again, we don't take time to understand ourselves. I spend so much time locked in a room only with myself, trying to understand myself, that I'm cool, and I'm chilling, I'm doing all the things, you know what I mean? Yes. So for me, it's been okay, but I understand some people are having a really fucking hard time, and so I've been trying to be there and have conversations with people I've never talked to before on Instagram and social media. I've been more active on social media than ever. I've decided I'm not too cool for anything you tag me in, I'm going to do it, because right now that's what the world needs, that's what people need, you know what I mean?
Yes. Do you feel like we're gonna overcome this and come out of it? Like, what do you see? What do you predict in your head and in your mind?
Honestly, I'd like to think that I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm just, like, a realist. And the truth is that I don't actually know. Yeah. I feel like prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Yeah. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm not scared, but just because I'm not scared doesn't mean I just go outside all willy-nilly, or that, like, I don't wear gloves and shit, you know what I mean, or I don't wash my hands. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be scared.
Have you been out the house? Have you been out the house?
Oh, yeah, I have. Like, I've gone grocery shopping and shit like that, but, like, only grocery shopping, basically. That's a necessity. I'm still trying to eat clean, you know what I mean, eat fresh food, which eventually I'm sure I'll be eating, like, spaghetti with almond milk or whatever, but for now I'm still trying to, eat okay and everything like that. So yeah, I've been grocery shopping,
it's hard to do anything if everything's being shut down anyway, right? I think that we're running out of things to even occupy ourselves with externally, like outside of our own homes. So a lot of folks are stuck in their phones, and we see a lot of challenges coming from the phones and stuff like that. But I think, going back to what you were saying about, like, taking some time to yourself, maybe taking this time to self-reflect, like, I truly believe that this is going to shift a lot of things systemically, and also, for people out there. Like, we've needed some sort of break, but it sucks that people have to die within this, and it has to get to this point in order for people to get some time to themselves, So
I think that for now it's, like, cute and everything like that. It depends on how long it lasts, for how, like, the morale of the people, right? Like, right now everybody's still joking about it on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But if it lasts a month, 2 months, shit's gonna get real, you know what I mean? Like, everything's gonna change, you know what I mean? Like, we're falling into recession faster than any of us have ever witnessed in our lifetimes, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's like, oh, cheap gas, but that's, like, not cool, you know what I mean? The fact that you can get gas for 52 cents, and 2 weeks ago it was $1, I don't know, 15, 16, 20, that's not cool, you know what I mean?
But that's
the novelty of it will die out, and it sounds fucked up to say, but there is a novelty surrounding it right now. It's something that we're all in together, and it's like, okay, we're going through this, we can get through this. But, like, the morale and the novelty, if this lasts more than 2 weeks, everyone's pushing 2 weeks. But when did everyone's 2-week quarantine start? Some people's 2 weeks started yesterday. Some people today, you know what I mean? Everybody's banking on 2 weeks, but, like, that's naive. You know what I mean? So
But
I
I
don't
think
know. I have no idea.
if we could survive through something like this, you're mentioning the gas prices going low. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think